In his New Year's address, recent New Year's address for 2026, the Ugandan president touched on the issue of tourism. He said that Uganda has an increased number of hotel beds, which, as I said previously, is a good development if it means meaningful employment for our sons and daughters. If it means that they have better, it's employment that will give them better access to things like decent housing, decent healthcare. Speaking about healthcare, President Museveni never mentioned anything about hospital beds. Whether we have more hospital beds in our country for working families. I presume the reason is that we do not. He did talk about healthcare. He boasted about how immunization has been spread out, rolled out, and covered the whole country, which is a good thing. But however, it seems to me that for Museveni, healthcare for working people, for working family, stops at immunization. That we do not deserve anything more than immunization. You know, I would like to inform His Excellency, in case he's unaware of this. Most working people in Uganda, and even peasants, can afford to pay for their immunization out of pocket if they were convinced that it is beneficial. It is not a very expensive service to access. But what most Ugandan workers, working families, cannot afford is medical care for a dread disease like chronic kidney failure, diabetes, cancer, brain tumors. Most Ugandan families, most Ugandan workers cannot afford to handle a medical emergency like a stroke, a heart attack, a bleeding peptic ulcer, a broken thigh bone, and so on and so forth. So, if you want to offer meaningful healthcare services for Ugandans, President Museveni, please do away with the immunization. You don't have to provide us free immunization. We can do it for ourselves. Please provide us high quality healthcare, emergency healthcare services, and healthcare services that help us deal with dread diseases. That's what would be meaningful, because we can pay out of pocket for the immunization. Unless you want to use immunization as a cover to deny us high quality healthcare. Immunization is 19th century medicine. We are now in the 21st century. We need to, you boast that Uganda is now in the lower middle income status. We should have healthcare services that at least reflect this. Our healthcare services are of a backward, failed state. We need to do something to raise the standards of care in health. A few years ago, my father had a heart attack. That was a very difficult time for our family, and I am grateful that he, with the help of of a lot of friends, he was able to pull through. But I think we were one of the few lucky ones. It was almost miraculous to us that he is still with us, and I'm very grateful for that. But it made me more aware of how much more difficult life is for most Ugandans when it comes to accessing high quality care. And I would like to ask President Museveni that if he wins this election, whether he does so fairly or unfairly, if he wants to leave a meaningful legacy, if he wants to provide a service that really matters, he must provide us modern 21st century medical care. Thank you for listening.